You're in the midst of the Vancouver Edmonton series for who will be a finalist in the Western Conference, league semifinals. But the 1986 Stanley Cup Finals, the improbable versus the impossible. Because it was improbable that Calgary was going to make it to Stanley Cup final that year, and Montreal winning the Cup was pretty well impossible. But Calgary got past Edmonton on the Steve Smith own goal and entered the finals as slight favorite. And they were well on their way to winning it, but a cast off for Montreal was back from the team, was the catalyst, and so was Brian Skrugland. So today we're going to be talking about the quick recap of the 1986 Stanley Cup Finals. Now, this was the title series of the NHL's 86 season and the culmination of the playoffs. Calgary is the Campbell Conference winner, led by Lanny McDonald and a myriad of stars and up-and-coming players, and the Wales Conference champion, the Montreal Canadiens, in the Stanley Cup for the first time in 7 years. The Canadiens won the series 4-1, using a myriad of defense and what they call Patrick Waugh's great goaltending to win their 23rd Stanley Cup and their 17th in their last 18 finals appearances dating back to 1956. Of course, they lost in 67 to Toronto. This was the first all-Canadian final since Montreal lost to the Leafs in 67, the last year of the original six era. This was the fifth of 9 consecutive finals contested by a team from Western Canada, the fourth of 8 contested by a team from Alberta. The Oilers appeared in 6, the Flames in 2, the Canucks in 1, and the third of 5 consecutive finals to end with the Cup presentation on Alberta ice. The Oilers won 4, the Canadiens won. This was the only time between 1980 and 88 that neither the Oilers, 4 wins, nor the New York Islanders, 4 wins, won the Stanley Cup. Now, although this was the first ever postseason meeting between the two squads, Calgary and Montreal had met up in Stanley Cup before. The first finals between teams from Montreal and Calgary took place in 24 when the Canadiens defeated a Western Canadian Hockey League champion, Calgary Tigers. The Canadiens Flames met again in a rematch in 89, with Calgary winning in 6 games on the backs of Dougie Gilmour and Lanny McDonald on form ice. Now, the format for this series reverted to the 2-2-1-1-1 system that had been used since the realignment, which followed 1981. The previous 4 finals had used the 2-3-2 format, although only the latter 2 of those finals lasted 5 games. Now, Calgary had a hard goal towards the final, going 7 games against Edmonton and St. Louis to advance to the final after shutting out Winnipeg 3-0 in the prelims. Montreal defeated the Bruins 3-0, the Whalers 4-3 on a Claude Lemieux overtime goal in Montreal, and the Rangers 4-1 on the backs of another Claude Lemieux overtime goal, this time in Game 4, to make it to the final. Of course, the good goaltending by Patrick. Now, Brian Skrugland's game-winning goal in Game 2 ended the shortest overtime in NHL playoff history at a mere 9 seconds on a feed from Mike Biffy. Montreal rookie goalie Patrick Roy was awarded a Conn Smythe Trophy as a playoff MVP. Now, Game 1 was all Calgary. Now, Matt Snaslin started scoring for Montreal week 6 in the postseason before Tonelli and Jim Polbinski scored at the end of the second. Now, the third period was all Calgary, scoring at Dan Quinn's shorthander made it 3-1. Lanny McDonald's 10th in the postseason made it 4-1. Chelio scored at 17:56, but of all people, Doug Risebrough wrapped up the scoring to form a Hab in the third period. Patrick Roy made 25 saves while Mike Vernon stopped 22. Now in Game 2, this is where it got freaky again, ladies and gentlemen. Calgary staked himself to a very, very convincing 2-0 lead on a goal by Tonelli. Then Paul Reinhardt scored his 5th in the postseason on the power play. But of all people, Gaston Gingras scored at 3:45 of the second period to make it 2-1, and with Dave Maley's third period to counter, his first of the postseason, led the way for Skrugland's 9-second overtime victory. Patrick only had to make 20 saves, while Vernon had to save 32. Now, game 3, and I watched this live. What a freak out in the first period. All kind of stuff was happening. Brett Hull hit a post. There were 6 goals scored in the first period between the two teams. You didn't see 6 goals in a game. Well, you saw 7 goals, but I mean, 6 goals in one period was unheard of between Calgary and Montreal. Now, ironically, Calgary staked himself to an early 1-0 lead on Joel Mullen's power play goal, only to have Matt Naslund tied up at 6:50. Joel Otto then scored on the power play his fifth at 17:59, but within a minute, give or take, 68 seconds, Bobby Smith scored at 18:25. Matt Naslund on the power play scored at 19:17, and Bob Gainey had the game winner, his fifth of the campaign, at 19:33. Although McDonald made it 4-3 midway in the second, Shel Dahlin wrapped it up with his insurance marker in the third period. Now, ironically, Reggie Lemlin and Mike Vernon shared the duties. Vernon was inconsistent the whole game and was taken out again in the third period. Patrick Waugh made 23 saves. Now, game 4, boys, that was a yawner. Although Claude Lemieux scored his 10th in the postseason at 11:10 as the winner, it was basically Calgary was held back to only 15 shots the whole game, so you knew something was going on. So game 5 back in Calgary, and Gaston Gingras, another big goal, a power play marker at 6:53 of the first period. Bozak tied it up 1-1, but Skrugland was second of the series at 10:49, and then of all people, ladies and gentlemen, Rick Green scored his first rare goal at 10:11 with Bobby Smith, the Stanley Cup winner, at 10:30. Bozak replied at 16:46 with Joe Mullen scoring his 12th in the postseason, but too little too late, and despite the fact he stormed the net with a few seconds left. I think the big thing is Nick Foytu and other players taking rotten penalties really hurt Calgary and that. Now, the aspect of the Stanley Cup final, which a lot of people find very strange, is that Montreal, again, had a big American influence, a lot of rookie and second-year players. So championship members on the team: Serge Boisvert, Guy Carbonneau, Chris Chelios, Shel Dahlin, Lucien Dublois, Bob Gainey, Gaston Gingras, Rick Green, John Cordick, Tommy Curvers, Mike Lawler, Claude Lemieux, Craig Ludwig, Dave Manley, Mike McPhee, Matt Snassen, Chrissy Nannen, Stéphane Richer, Larry Robinson, Steve Rooney, Patrick Roy, Brian Skrugland, Bobby Smith, Doug Soltart, Peter Sabota, Mario Tremblay, and Ryan Walter. Now, what was ironic here, ladies and gentlemen, this was Bob Gainey's fifth cup, as was the sixth for Larry Robinson and the fifth for Mario Tremblay. So there was only a few left over. So a very, very interesting concept. Now, the Lucien Deblois had appeared in the Stanley Cup Final in '79, while Bobby Smith had appeared in '81. Now, the '86 Stanley Cup was presented to Canadiens captain Bob Gainey by John Ziegler following the victory, and players on the team that got engraved. No Steve Penny, unfortunately. Bobby Smith, Carbonneau, Deblois, McPhee, Lawler, Skrugland, Gainey, Maley, Walter, Boisvert, Tremblay, Dahlin, Nassen, Rooney, Nannen, Lemieux, and Richer. Rick Green, Tom Curvers, Larry Robinson, Chris Chelios, Craig Ludwig, Sabota, Gaston Gingras, and John Cordick, and Doug Soldart and Patrick Roy. Now, ironically, Mike Lawler, Serge Boisvert, Stéphane Richer, Gaston Gingras, John Cordick, and Patrick Roy played on the AHL Calder Cup winners in '85 with Sherbrooke. Again, Lawler, Skrugland, Boisvert, Richer, Gingras, Cordick, and Patrick Roy. Now, coaching administrative staff, of course, Jean Perron, head coach, with Jacques Lemaire as an AC, Jean Beliveau as a big representative, Jacques Lemaire, assistant GM, Elie Palachuk was there again, and Ronald Corey as president, and Serge Savard as GM. Now, Tom Curvers did miss the end of the regular season, all of the playoffs injured. His name was then included on the Stanley Cup because he played 62 regular season games for Montreal. Now, Mario Tremblay played only 56 regular season contests. He missed the rest of the season, all the playoffs, due to injury. Tremblay still played enough games to qualify for his name to be on the Stanley Cup. Now, 4 names were not engraved in the Stanley Cup and included a team pitcher. Number 37, Steve Penny, was dressed for 30 games, played 18. 36, Sergio Momesso played 24 regular season contests, and both players missed the rest of the season injured. They were not given injury exemption and included on the Stanley Cup. But Randy Busick, played 17 regular season games and 2 playoff contests, but did not play in the final. He did not qualify to appear on the Stanley Cup, and he also won the Calder in '85. I think he should have been on the Cup. Now, Morgan McCammon was included on the Cup of Montreal in '79 as a director. It was a tradition that the chairman of the board name was engraved on the Stanley Cup, but Montreal did not submit his name for engraving on the Cup, but gave him a second Stanley Cup ring. Now, Senior Vice President of Operations Jerry Gunman was also left off the Stanley Cup. Starting in '86, each NHL team is required to list 2 alternate captains, along with a team captain for each game. Some teams may have more than 2 alternates, but only 2 can be marked with an A per game. Now, there was 11 rookies on their squad. Mike McPhee, Stéphane Richer, Brian Scorglin, Mike Lawler, Patrick Roy, Steve Rooney, John Cordick, Claude Lemieux, David Maley, Sergio Mamessa, and Randy Busick. In addition, the Canadiens only made 1 trade from Ken Carswell to St. Louis for Graham Herring, who never played in the NHL, and a 5th-round pick in January '86. All other teams' lineup changes were to their minor league teams' AHL Sherbrooke Canadiens. Now, Jean Perron was the 12th NHL rookie coach to win the Stanley Cup. Perron was also the last rookie coach to win it, who coached the winning team for the whole season. Now, the last rookie coach to win the Stanley Cup was 2009. Now, there was, of course, a riot after the event. 5,000 jubilant Montreal fans celebrate the Stanley Cup win over the Flames. They rampaged through the city's downtown, causing over $1 million worth of damage. It's going to be nothing compared to what's going to happen in Vancouver if they win. Now, in Canada, there was only second and final year that English language right. The Cup's finals were shared between CBC and CTV. For games 1 and 2, CBC only had the right to air them locally in Montreal and Calgary, while CTV broadcast them to the rest of the country. CBC then had exclusive rights to televise the games 3, 4, and 5 nationally. Had the series gone to 7 games, just like '72 Summit, both CBC and CTV would have simultaneously televised it while using their separate production facilities and crews. After the season, CTV pulled the plug on their 2-year-long venture with the NHL, and the rights package were eventually sold to Global Can West. Now, this was the first of 3 consecutive seasons that ESPN televised the Stanley Cup Finals in the States. Now, if you want to find out more about the Cup, Dan Diamond's very interesting book, Total Stanley Cup, published by Total Sports Canada, 2000, is quite interesting. Of course, Lord Stanley's Cup, written by Andrew Podnicks, is quite good as well. Now, I watch every game of the series, but if Brett Hull would have scored on that puck hitting the post, the hole would have been different. Calgary would have had traded him, but Calgary would just 2 7-game series back to back before they met Montreal. They only had momentum for a game and a half, and the rest was Montreal. And to put this in perspective, up until the 3rd period of Game 5, it was all Montreal. Montreal scored 2 goals late in Game 2, so that's 7-3 outshot and 8-3 and 12-5. So Montreal had a score when he needed to be. But the whole series came down to Game 3, that first period, and Calgary giving up 3 goals in 68 seconds at the end of the first period, killed him. That's what I'm saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. If you like what we're doing with our hockey podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.